What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to the Draft Report. In today's video, we are going to be going over my most overrated players in the 2024 NFL Draft. I'll go position by position and give you my thoughts on who I just think is getting a little overrated by the consensus big board, and tell you what I think about those prospects. Starting first, we got the quarterback position, and if you've watched any of my videos, you know I'm not the biggest Jayden Daniels guy. He's obviously a guy that is getting a lot of top 5, top 3 hype, and I just think he's more of a late first, early second type guy at the quarterback position. He's obviously electric in the open field. He would immediately be one of the best runners in the league. He has that Lamar Jackson, Justin Fields level ability with his legs, but what separates guys like Lamar from Jayden Daniels is their ability to win from within the pocket and throwing when the play breaks down. Daniels, not a guy that handles pressure very well, very high pressure to sack rate for his career. And when he gets faced with pressure, he just scrambles. Unlike a lot of these dual threat guys that are, like Caleb Williams, he uses his legs to create angles to throw, and I just don't see Daniels doing it that much. He's kind of, once he decides to run, he's just going to run and doesn't really look for throwing angles down the field. His arm talent isn't anything spectacular. It's probably close to average for the NFL. And I just don't see him winning from within the pocket a ton. He did improve in that aspect. He showed some flashes of being able to get through full field reads, but it was mostly look at Neighbors. If Neighbors is open, throw it to him. If not, we're going to run. And when he was in such a great system at LSU with two, top 15, top 20 picks a receiver, a great O-line, and he just really had the whole field open to him because defenses had to respect his receivers so much. I do love his deep ball. He throws it very well outside the numbers, but I just don't see him testing the middle of the field as much as I would like. And then one of my biggest concerns with him is just his ability to hold up throughout a whole season. This guy does not like to slide, and he runs into contact so often. If you just watch one game of him, he gets hit hard like 5 times a game. He'll get popped. It's impressive he was able to stay healthy for this entire LSU season, but 17 games against NFL-level athletes, I just worry about him staying healthy, especially if he keeps taking all these hits. So Jayden Daniels, someone that I think has a high floor just because of his rushing ability, and he's, decently accurate, but I just don't see the star upside that many see in a guy that is already on the older side, 5 years in college and still hasn't really become a full, pocket passer, doesn't handle pressure super well. Those are the things that kind of carry on to the NFL, and a lot of busts end up being guys that don't handle pressure well, and Daniels is one of those guys. So we go to running back Blake Corum. Someone that, he has a lot of college success, but he also has a lot of tread on his tires, a lot of carries at Michigan the last couple years, and he's a guy that's just not overly explosive. I do love his vision. He's a very smart running back. I'm always a small running back pilled, and I love guys that are, 5'8", 5'9", big like Corum. Like, he is someone that I should like, but I don't see the elusiveness or the contact balance of someone that can be a starting running back in the league. I mean, as a backup, a guy that can come in if your guy gets hurt, he can get some carries for you, maybe as a red zone back, but I don't see him taking a full workload. I don't see him as much as of a third down guy. He doesn't bring much as a pass protector. He's just kind of a solid running back 2, running back 3 that will stick on rosters just because he's a smart player. You can trust him. Coaches will like him because of his vision. He's not going to go out there and do anything stupid, but he just doesn't have the true starter upside of. He doesn't have the explosiveness in the open field. He's also coming off an injury, a lot of tread on the tires. It's not someone you really want to bet on to be a high-level NFL back, but I think he has a spot in the league, but he's more of a 4th, 5th round guy for me than a true day 2 guy. We get to receiver Malachi Corley. This is someone that is more of a running back than a receiver. His route tree was pretty much screen passes, hitches, and that's about it. Swing passes. He'd take jet sweeps a lot. I mean, his nickname's the Yak King, and he lives up to it. I mean, with the ball in his hands, he is pretty exceptional, but he also is coming from Western Kentucky, and I just worry that taking that step to the NFL, I don't know if he'll be as explosive because I don't see a crazy athlete on film. I see someone who has this big, dense frame. He's like 5'11", 200 plus pounds. Like he's hard to tackle, but if you're going to be a yak guy, I feel like you need to be a pretty explosive athlete. And although he didn't test, I just don't see someone who's crazy athletic on film, like maybe 4.5 speed, a little stiff in short areas. Like I don't see the explosiveness, especially if you're not going to be a true receiver. His hands aren't that great. He shows pretty much no route running ability, especially nuance of routes. He's just not there. So he's a guy that I think I'd be willing to take, late third round. Early fourth is kind of a gadget guy, wide receiver 4 that can come in if you really need a big play and maybe you give him a little touch pass. But I don't really ever see him being a true like weapon for a team, anything more than just a solid guy. He could be a good returner, especially with the new kick return rules. That could be valuable. But as an overall receiver, I'm just not a huge fan. And then on the other ones, I have honorable mentions. I forgot to mention Roman Wilson. You're just going to think I hate Michigan because every single slide I have someone in Michigan. But he's athletic, but he's small. And I don't love his nuance of the route tree. Like, if you're going to be a slot guy, I feel like you really need to understand how to get open. I don't really like his, he doesn't change tempo much. His footwork is a little lacking. So he's definitely a developmental guy. He's fast and he has pretty good hands, but I want to see him get better his route tree, but he's still someone I like pretty decently. Tight end, Jatavion Sanders. I think this is the most overrated player on my board if you just rank it by big board and consensus. Jatavion Sanders, someone that had a lot of production at Texas. I mean, he's a good athlete, right? He's 6'4", 240 pounds, is fast, but I don't see any way that he is a 3-down player in the league. His blocking is terrible. He doesn't have the play strength or the length to really keep up blocking-wise, and then his technique is awful. It did improve slightly, but he's just not a guy that can be trusted in line. So then you're thinking, okay, he has to be like this explosive receiving threat, and I just don't see it as much. He was schemed open a lot. He's good after the catch, and he has great hands. He'll catch away from his frame very well. He catches through contact pretty well, but his route running ability, he's a little slow changing directions, I feel like. And then he doesn't have a ton of nuance of the route tree. He ran a very vertical route tree, so it's like he's projected to go like pretty easily in the second round, and you're taking just a seam street guy in the second round. I'm not doing that. He's more of a third, fourth round dart throw that, maybe you can develop his blocking, but I don't see him ever being a 3-down player. He's kind of a niche role as a receiving tight end that honestly doesn't have a ton of route running ability as of now, and he's not overly explosive. He didn't test as well as you need to if you're not going to be a blocker at tight end. So he's more of a tight end 2 in my opinion, and I'm not taking a tight end 2 anywhere close to the second round. Cooper Beebe is a guard from Kansas State. He's the only offensive lineman that I feel is overrated. I like all the tackles pretty well. Beebe, he's a fun player to watch because he's pretty strong. He's pretty powerful. He moves pretty well. And in the open field, he gets going. He's like a steamroller. He'll just run over you. He has this tree stump frame. He's like 6'2", 320 pounds. Like, he's a fun player to watch, but the biggest problem I have with him is he has like second percentile arm length for the guard position, and those guys it's just tough to see the field when it's almost impossible for you to make first contact. I mean, it works in college, but against longer, faster, more physical guys, he's just not going to be able to create first contact, and he's not someone that I think can really sustain that if he's not able to get into someone's frame. Like, what are you providing if you're this powerful player? And then he also doesn't look as athletic as he tested. So I think he's a solid backup and a guy that in a pinch can start for sure. He has starter level upside, but he's, again, like JT Sanders, you're expecting this guy to be a starter if you're taking him in the second round, especially a guard. If you're taking a guard in the second round, they better be pretty good. And BB's more of a O-line 6 for me, like a guy that you really want as a depth piece, but maybe not someone you're comfortable with starting for you. So that's more of a third round guy for me. But I'm not. I just think BB, the length is really a problem for me. And then we get to D-line, Braden Fiske. This is someone I'm really low on. He had an interesting pre-draft process because going into the combine and Senior Bowl, he was like projected as like a third round pick, which is where I think he should be. And then he had a great combine, but it's like we knew that already. Like if you watch the film, you could tell this guy's a great athlete. It's like what else can he do? And he goes to the combine and blows it up because he's a great athlete. But I think people are counting it twice, which is the number one sin of the combine. You don't count athletic scores twice. And he's another one like BB. He has insanely short arms, 31-inch arms. That would be a historic outlier for the position. And D-line's definitely a position where you need to be able to get hands on first and make contact, especially in the run game. And I think he had some flashes in college of good run game production just because he can shoot the gap so quickly because he is an insane athlete. But man, against NFL level guys, he's going to get pushed off the ball so easily. I don't see any way where he ever becomes an early down player. And you're getting pretty much just a pass rush specialist that isn't even that great of a pass rusher because even though he's super explosive off the line, he's a little stiff. So like changing directions on stunts and stuff, I wouldn't really want him to do that. And it's not like you can just move him out to edge or something because he's a little stiff in those areas. But he obviously gets on the lineman quick and he can just shoot gaps easily. Like against slow-footed college linemen, he was able to just shoot gaps. I love his motor. He plays super hard. He'll chase down plays from behind. But I mean, a pass rush specialist on the inside is valuable, but not like early second round. Like people saying he might go in the first, and I'm like, ooh, a guy that can't play on all three downs at all. Like there's some guys in this class who are late down players, but maybe have projectable upside to be an early down player. But Fiske, I see no way where this guy's getting on the field on early downs at any point in his career. So I'm very far away on Fiske. I think he's probably a day 3 guy to me, and he's going or like easily day 2 on most people's boards. And then Talonjay Sweat's my honorable mention here. You're getting what you get with him. I mean, he's a 360-pound player. I think he played closer to like 380. Like he's going to eat blocks, right? You kind of have to double him, but he's just not explosive at all. Like, and his stamina, I don't think he can sustain more than 40% of snaps at an NFL level. And then he's also got the DUI, and there's a lot of rumors that he might not focus on football enough. He's kind of a party animal. And it's like, is a 370-pound nose tackle really valuable in today's league? I don't really know. He's not providing much pass rush upside, even though for a 370-pounder, he does have a little bit of flashiness as a pass rusher, but at the NFL level, I just don't think he's providing much there. But he's a tree stump that's hard to move in the run game, but he's not worthy of really early day 2 pick, in my opinion. And then we get to edge, Bralen Trice. This is someone that's just interesting, and because he came in this season, I watched him, and he's like this 260-pound edge that's pretty powerful. Really think of him as like a 4.3 edge. And then he comes to the combine and he weighs in at 240 and looks stiff as a board running the drills. And so you're like, if he's actually 240, that means he has to be a 3-4 stand-up guy. And he does not have the bend. He is so stiff. Like he cannot play in a 3-4. So you're projecting this 240-pound guy that didn't look athletic. Like if he came in at 240 and ran a good 40 time, that would help him. But he dropped the weight to be a good athlete at the combine and still wasn't a good athlete. I mean, it was one of the worst testing performances I've seen from a guy who you kind of view as this powerful guy. It's weird to see him come in at 240. So I think he's a good depth piece. He plays well against the run, which unlike many edge guys in this class, but I just don't see very much pass rushing juice. He's maybe a guy that can get 5-6 sacks at his ceiling. He's definitely more of a rotational guy. Really only fits in a 4-3, and that just limits the amount of teams he can go to, and he's not some overly dominant player. So he's more of a third-round guy for me. He might fall to day 3 if I was picking players because he just doesn't bring much juice. But he's an experienced player with a lot of snaps under his belt, a lot of college production. So there's something there. And then honorable mention, Jared Verse. I think I have him at like 21 on my big board, and he's like consensus 13. It was the only one close to being overrated outside of Trice for edge. And Verse is just someone that I feel like if you're taking a first round edge, they need to be an explosive player, and he's powerful. I love his power game, but kind of like Trice, he can't play in a 3-4 because he's just very stiff around the edge. His get off is good, but I just don't see him being super agile. He plays the run well. But when you compare to like Latu and Turner, I think he's just a step below, but he's still a first round prospect in my opinion. So I'm not that much lower on him than consensus. We get to safety because I have no linebackers. Actually, I do have a linebacker, Jeremiah Trotter, but he's like a 5th round guy. So I'm like, it's not worth talking about him. And then corners, I didn't really have any corners that I felt were super overrated. So we get to safety. This is the last position I have, Kalen Bullock. This is someone that's projected to go 3rd round pretty easily, but he's more of a 5th round guy to me. I don't see him. He's a guy that could be out of the league, like fighting for a roster spot in like 2 years because this dude cannot tackle. I mean, he's an exciting playmaker in the pass game. He has pretty good range. He's quick, but you could see in the picture he's built like Slenderman. He is super skinny. His play strength is terrible. He can't get off of blocks well, and then I just don't see how a team can trust him to be out there as their deep free safety because he is not protecting anything. If a ball carrier gets to the second level, he's gone because Bullock cannot tackle. Especially at an NFL level, this guy will not be trusted to tackle. So I'm like, man, how many teams are really going to trust putting this guy on the field? I don't know. Maybe he switches to corner, which I could see, and he could be a pretty good corner because he's good in man coverage. But the play strength would need to improve there as well. And I'm not really taking a guy who needs to switch positions like that super early. So maybe he's like a 4th round dart throw cornerback. I could see it because this dude is a good athlete, but man, he cannot be trusted as a tackler right now. And then honorable mention, Cam Kinchens. I'm pretty close to consensus on him. I just wanted to talk about him a little bit. During the season, before the season, he was kind of a 1st round guy. And then he had a pretty bad season. His combine was awful. Like you watch the film and you're like, this guy's a pretty good athlete. And then the combine was absolutely atrocious. But he's a ball hawk. I mean, he is a playmaker, whether it's forcing fumbles with hard hits or interceptions. He'll get his hands on the football for sure. But I do worry about him really getting on the field a ton because kind of like Bullock, he's an unreliable tackler, not as bad as Bullock, but can't really fully be trusted as a tackler, and he has to play free safety. And if his range is truly as bad as his combine said, it's tough to really put a free safety with like 4.6 speed out there. So Cam Kinchens, interesting one. He's more of like a 3rd round guy to me. Some people have him as like a 2nd round guy. So I'm pretty close to consensus on him. But yeah, that's going to wrap up the video. Please let me know what you think in the comments. I know you guys aren't going to like this one because I'm just ripping on your favorite players. But please let me know what you think in the comments. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one.